A couple of days ago, it was wonderful to see His Majesty the King, King Charles III, rocking up at a hospital and meeting other patients. And as you could see, and we mentioned on that particular report, he looked in high spirits. People were genuinely thrilled to see His Majesty the King back out and about, even though, of course, Queen Camilla looked a little bit anxious, as you can imagine, because clearly he's a man that just thrives being round people. And as I say, it really proved his popularity. We also mentioned about how the fact that he loved now that because of a car going so slow here in central London at 20 miles an hour, people were able to see him and he liked it. Apparently he was absolutely thrilled. This reinstated the fact that all those anti-monarchists, really, yes, there's a few, but there's far few more that are thrilled with the British monarchy. But right now, His Majesty the King is treading a very thin line. And as ever, this is all down to his youngest son, the former royal known as Prince Harry. As ever, let me explain. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time out today. As ever, I love to share these stories with you, and I'd love to know what you think to this, because do you remember when we were younger and you used to get toys inside cereal boxes? Do you remember those? It could be stickers, plastic toy, or you could collect things, send off, all of that. Have you now noticed, you never see those in cereal boxes for children now. Now, there's two reasons why. I think first and foremost, you need to save up or win the lottery to be able to afford the branded cereal, don't you? You notice that? I mean, what a price that is. You come away thinking, what? How much for Weetabix? How much for Kellogg's cornflakes? Wonder Special K is slimming. You can't afford to open another box, can you? That's the whole point. But apparently, if they put toys in now, they're frightened that people would choke on the toys and then they'd be liable. What absolute tosh, don't you think? It's just they don't want to give anything away anymore, but they want you to scan codes, send all of your details, but you in return get nothing. And I just kind of thought, what do you think to that? Do you agree? Do you believe it? Or as ever, do you think it's simply a marketing tool? Never with us, is it? Always with, of course, the brand ambassador. Now, some people might say the brand ambassador of the British monarchy is none other than His Majesty the King. Difficult times, because here's the real problem, and let me spell this out. As we keep hearing back and forth that on that particular day, His Majesty the King would have maybe an hour and a half free in his diary, where he could, of course, meet his youngest son, who's back in town for the Invictus Games at St. Paul's Cathedral. Some might suspect, of course, this is great ambassador for him. Lots of paparazzi, lots of pictures that make Harry very nervous with the clicking camera sounds. But the bigger picture is this, and this is one that really His Majesty the King needs to take a bigger note of. It's hard really to underestimate just how, shall we say, unfavourable his youngest son really is right now, along with the British public. And the monarchy itself, thrives on basically being liked by the public, predominantly, of course, the Commonwealth and the United Kingdom, Australia. And really, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have done so much to derail the kindness and, of course, the structure of the British monarchy that this is tricky times. Now, lots of people are saying, oh, well, he could make Harry sign an NDA, he could do this. It wouldn't really matter. And the other side of it is, he's in a difficult position, isn't he? As a father himself, I'm sure he would like to believe that Prince Harry has his vested interests at heart, coming on, of course, from his recent health setback. But whatever and whichever way it plays out in the public domain, this could be very tricky times for him, because people seemingly just do not like Prince Harry. They don't trust him. And more importantly, they feel that he's how shall we say nicely, not to be trusted literally with anything. Now, you can understand why his wife Meghan Markle is keeping well away. She at least has got the gravitas of the situation, knowing that the British public have no desire to see her up close and personal. Harry, of course, is keeping up the Invictus end, but a meeting with His Majesty the King will do a lot to rectify and, of course, bolster his royal connection, shall we say, upon his visit to Nigeria. Naturally, he could talk about that in a speech, thanking people for asking about his father. But His Majesty the King is going to have to play this very cleverly, because whatever comes out, and whatever comes out possibly of course, Prince Harry, could be very detrimental to his own popularity. And right now, that is vital. In this cost of living crisis, the Republicans and the cost of Buckingham Palace. Harry's opened the red curtain, as he said, but some people wished he'd kept it closed, because now everything's to play for. Neil Sean in the very heart of Yorkshire.